Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Showdown live before live. Sorry for the late start. It's actually not a late start, but apologies for those of you who thought it was 7:15, scheduled for 7:30. Anytime you see a 8 o'clock NBA start, just assume with these stupid the NBA Emirate Cup, whatever. I see no value in it, but people seem to like it. So I'm not going to hate. I mean, I will, but I'm not hating on the fact that people enjoy it. Does that make sense? I mean, it's fine, but it does nothing for me. It doesn't get me more excited to watch the games. And hell, if you guys didn't play DFS, you'd probably disagree. You'd probably agree. But we got a good game. Atlanta, Tampa. Last time these teams faced each other on Thursday night, it's 36-30. Kirk Cousins threw for 506 yards, and they won it in overtime. Atlanta took both games in the series with Kirk Cousins at the helm last year. And he's back, Greg. He's back for more Thursday night football. And I'll tell you what, people may look at this as a shitty game, and maybe to some extent it is, but the Tampa Bay Bucks just lost to Tyler Shuck and the Saints last week. They're now 7-6, tied with the Carolina Panthers atop the NFC South, and Atlanta's looking to play spoiler. So you never know what happens in these short week divisional games, and this is actually a huge, huge game for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, massive. I mean, they started the year extremely well. It's easy to forget this, but like a month ago, Baker Mayfield was right in there. This is how quickly things could change in football. About a month ago, you had Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes all about tied as the favorites to an MVP. None of them have any realistic chance. I guess Josh Allen a super outside chance if they're to run the table and somehow surpass the Patriots in the standings. But Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield, they're more likely to miss the playoffs than they are to win the MVP at this point in time. But the one positive that we have for Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers that will be interesting to talk about, healthy pass catchers for the first time the entire season for him.
And for one of the first times, all of the offensive line is intact, because if it wasn't Tristan Wirfs, it was Luke Gedeke. Yeah, man. So we'll see. How about that? Slater's going to slate. They're a different team today. Yes, without question. You're talking about the Falcons? No doubt. No Drake London is absolutely a big deal. Kirk Cousins over Penix. But, I mean, Kirk Cousins has actually been, and Spags had some great data points this morning. Kirk Cousins has actually been better than the numbers would suggest, but that isn't to say he's good, right? It's not. But he's also not Max Brosmer either. So I do think there's a bit of a middle ground there. But no, I agree. They're not the same team. Their defense, oddly enough, should be better than it was last year. The pass rush should be better. Here come the scumbag bots. Kill them.
Yeah, I got it. I
think I got that. You think you got that?
Yeah, it says message deleted by Ehrenberg, Greg.
Son of a bitch.
But they've kind of been in hiding a little bit, the bots. But the bot swatting might have to be back in action tonight, it looks like, because they showed up early.
They sure did, man. We're going to get into all of this. Spare you the pleasantries. Glad to have you guys here. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Goes a long way. We appreciate you for it. I got a lot of bets posted on tails for tonight's game. I tailed Greg on tails. I pulled the app up yesterday, and I saw one. I was like, man, that's a great lean on this game. And for someone who's not originating my own NBA bets, I love to go in and see people I trust for those sports. I tailed you with one tap, plus 16 with that boost on FanDuel, plus 716, and cash that. I don't want to say sweat free, but it was it was close, but those are always going to be close. That was a nice one, man. So that's the beauty of the Tails app and being able to do that.
I've got another one up for today as well. If you guys actually want to go over to Tails, I know Lofty's got a jackpot touchdown bet posted there.
I've got two parlays too. I got a 50% super boost and the DraftKings 30% super boost as well.
And I've got a couple things up there as well. I have up over on Tails my same game parlay boost that I used over on FanDuel, trying to see if I can go back-to-back after my win from yesterday. And the game script Lofty was talking about is I had built a same game parlay with the game script of the Thunder winning via blowout. It was the Thunder spread with a couple of unders from SGA and Chet, which didn't end up hitting. To Lofty's point, it was kind of sweat-free, but also kind of not at the same time, too. It was sweat-free in the sense that the spread was covered super early. None of the starters entered the quarter in the fourth quarter. So midway through the third quarter, you knew the bet had won. But OKC, their guys are so good. Like SGA nearly hit over 31.5 points, only playing 2.5 quarters. And Chet almost hit over 8.5 rebounds, only playing 2.5 quarters. But once they checked out of the game, we knew that we were good. But I've got another one up for today, trying to go back to back with my boosts. You've got Lough, you mentioned he's got a couple of boosts in his touchdown bet up for today. And then also, I'm running a giveaway over on Tail. So I've pinned to my profile some of the top exposures from the Sims. And if you guys comment to that and just leave a comment of who you think will score the most DraftKings fantasy points for tonight's game, one person who gets the right answer is going to win a free subscription. So if you head on over to Tails, there's all kinds of stuff for you. We got DFS content, betting content, a chance to win some free stuff there as well. And then also EMAC over on Tails also posted some write-ups. I see EMAC in chat did some write-ups of the game tonight as well.
Check it out, man. All right, let's go. We'll start it off with the quarterbacks here and get your thoughts. Of course, I talked about it this morning, and we'll dive back into it as well. But the one thing that's been fascinating about Baker lately is he's running, and he's explicitly talked about how I actually used him. You guys, I used him for the jackpot at 6-1 because I actually like that as a bet. He has 6 red zone rushing attempts over the past 4 games. You don't get that from many quarterbacks when they're plus 600 to score. It might not be Tyler Shuck odds, but Baker Mayfield is a mobile quarterback when he needs to be. And I think that actually adds to it today. Now, you could say they get their pass catchers back. They should be up by a lot of points, but you can't really ever consider that to be the case. They were 8.5-point favorites last week, and they lost outright by 4, right? So it's a divisional spot on a short week. Do I think Baker's going to rush a ton? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, to the point you always bring up, guys with some rushing upside can be helpful, and he has like legit 40 rushing yard upside. We've seen it recently. He also has Mike Evans back. Chat's very divided on Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. I understand why you would be divided on him. I think he'll be eased in, but I also expect them. You know what they do a lot of times, Greg? What they'll do is they'll play him on like 35-40% of snaps, but then he might have like a 40% target per route run. Remember the first game Rashee Rice played this year? He had like 10 targets and played 20 snaps. No joke. So you can always do stuff like that. I'm not super worried there. Point is, I do like Baker Mayfield today, and I'm not going to lie to you. I don't mind Kirk Cousins either. I wish Drake London was playing. That would make a huge difference. But Kirk Cousins for a starting quarterback is so ridiculously cheap in this game. You're not dealing with any poor weather. It's out in Tampa. It's like 60 degrees. Kirk Cousins at 8,800 at the flex, not at the captain. He has no rushing upside. But at the flex, I like him too.
So I'm going to address a handful of things that you brought up there. I totally agree with you on Baker. I also bet Baker not to score a touchdown, although I did bet Baker a couple weeks ago to score a touchdown. I had that posted at Tails, but I did bet Baker for over 17.5 rushing yards.
So did I.
For this, which was very much based on, I was waiting for the lines to open up, and this was very much based on what you had brought up the other week, is I was curious to see with some of the rushing numbers we've seen from Baker over the last 4 games, what that prop was going to look like when it went up. And as soon as I saw 17.5, I bet the over on that. So if it wins, I'm going to take credit for it. If it loses, I'll blame you. But I did bet the over on the Baker rushing.
Well, if it loses, you can't blame me because this is the 4th straight week I've bet it, and it's won 3 straight weeks. But yes, you're for sure. Zell Sledge, Rice was suspended. Evans coming back off a collarbone injury. Big difference. Just saying. Well, no, not the way that I phrased it, though. It's not a big difference if they're using them strategically and they're using them on specific downs where they want to get them the ball. I'm not saying it's apples to apples. I'm saying that Evans doesn't need to play 90% of snaps to see like a 6 or 7, 8 target game. I'm not saying he's going to, but I don't think this is as clear. Again, I'll go back to Kamani Vidal the other day. There's all this disagreement. Hampton's back, getting laughed at about. Hampton ended up playing twice as many snaps Vidal played twice as many snaps as Hampton, and he out-touched him. So the uncertainty here is something you have to embrace. Now, you could embrace this in the form of, I'm not playing Mike Evans. Or you could embrace it in the sense of, I'm going to play some Mike Evans. To me, I'm perfectly fine playing some Mike Evans today. But if you want to play it the opposite direction, you're still taking a stand. I don't, even if you want to get with the field, it is what it is. But I really try never to go into anything with just like singular thinking, Greg, because a lot of times I could just be flat out wrong on that.
So it's funny that Rashee Rice was brought up as a comparison, because I actually view the situation as being a little different. Don't forget, Rashee Rice was not only coming back from a suspension, he was also coming back from a torn ACL. So there was actually numerous things that Rashee Rice was coming back from. He hadn't played football in, it was like 16 months or something at the point in time that he returned from. I'm actually thinking, so I like getting overweight to Mike Evans. You'll see the Sims on screen here. He's just under 20% owned. He showed him 25% laps. I actually like him even more than our data does to be overweight to the field to him. He had a broken collarbone. Like, that's not something that's going to necessarily prevent you from being able to stay in game shape. It's going to prevent you from being able to take hits and actually play an NFL game. It's not going to prevent you from doing cardio and running and whatnot, not in the same way that like an ACL tear would, for instance. So if Mike Evans is out, this is an important game for the Bucs, like you said, Lofty. If Mike Evans is out there looking good, he feels good, he's playing well, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a bigger workload than we think he might.
Me neither. That's why I'm willing to get a little overweight to it. I'm not, but again, I don't want my day to be over because Mike Evans gets hurt in the first play or because he's not used. But he also, a funny thing about Mike Evans, and again, I think this is something worth talking about, because a lot of times people have these, it's like super binary thinking where it's like he either is okay and I'll play him, or he isn't okay and I won't. Mike Evans has a 39.5 yard receiving prop. Godwin's at 40.5. Ibuka's at 50.5, 51.5. Like, there's not a massive gap there. That's not a huge gap for these guys at all. If you look at receptions for tonight's game, and these are Vegas odds, right? Across all of these sports books. And believe it or not, FanDuel is a pretty sharp book. 4.5 for Emeka Ibuka, 3.5 for Chris Godwin, 3.5 juice to the under, but still 3.5 on Mike Evans. So you have all of these numbers here, Greg, and they're not all that different, and these are also just, to some extent, they're guesses, right? You don't really know about any of this, but Mike Evans is plus 180 on FanDuel to score. Chris Godwin is like, where's Chris Godwin? Chris Godwin's probably has longer odds than that. Ibuka's plus 180, same odds, and Chris Godwin's plus 210. So I'm not just going to ignore all of those numbers.
Yeah. I mean, it's all, the one thing is though, it's not necessarily that they should be ignored. It's that I think there's so much variance to it because nobody really knows. There's so many pieces moving on here. Just for starters, we haven't even seen Ibuka, Godwin, and Evans all play together. We don't even know where these guys actually stand in the pecking order for the Buccaneers. And also, like, they get down to the red zone. Mike Evans has traditionally been the guy they like to throw to in the red zone. They also have Chris Godwin. He looked terrible earlier on the season. He's actually looked quite a bit better to me the last couple of weeks, although he did have a pretty bad drop in the end zone last week. Ibuka's also been really inconsistent. So it's not necessarily that I want to ignore those numbers. It's more so that I think that they're a little bit more variant than what they would normally be.
Yep, for sure. KC Chiefs, Evans hasn't taken any contact. What happens when he dives for one and lands on his shoulder? I don't know. What happens when he doesn't? Like, that's what I'm saying. What happens if he does? What happens if he doesn't? I don't know. This was good. Where is this? Todd Nieper. They're just talking, guys. It's paid sponsorship. They've already got their lineups in. No, my lineups are not in yet. I have all of my if something were to go wrong, I would have lineups, but no, I usually wait till one of the last updates. A paid sponsorship, dude. Why would we talk about stuff that we're just flat out not doing? This makes no sense to me. Anyway, I just wanted to say, with the Sims, these devs are working hard to get everything back up, but the Sims still work. Everything still works. Just go to Stokastic.com and click on the data hub, and you got all of the Sims and everything right there. If for some reason the entry manager isn't working, because it's working for me when I logged out and back in, it's super easy to just do it the manual way. Obviously, apologies that the entry manager is not working for some of you right now, but all you have to do is just download the entry file and paste it in to a CSV and upload it. That's the old school way. Yeah. So if it's not working, super simple way to do it. Greg, you could probably even just scroll down to show people that easy. Is it covered? Like down at the bottom where it says export entries.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So if you go to the lineups tab, you can press here, export favorites.
Wait, let me hold on. Let me
download
remove
all of the
lineups. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me remove that. So there you go.
Okay.
Now they can
so
see
right here, you guys will see export favorites. Just press this, and then you'll see that it created a file here with all of the lineups. You would open this up. And then you're going to get all the lineups here. So you could just, now all the lineups will show up in Excel, and then you can just copy and paste them over your existing lineups in the DraftKings CSV that you would normally download from DraftKings. But yeah, you'll if you just press export favorites, you'll get all the lineups are going to be downloaded for you.
It's about I'd say it's like if you haven't done it before, it's a couple minutes. If you've done it before, it's like a 30-second process. Just give yourself a couple minutes, but entry manager hopefully will be up soon. But that's a super simple way.
I'll find a video right now on how to upload lineups.
Yeah, and while you do that, just do me a favor, Greg. Go to exposures so I can talk through some of this while you find that. Since we have less time today, but yeah. So Baker at flex, Bijan at flex. The one thing I did cap my the one thing I did do is I capped my Bijan captain exposure a little bit, and I'm a little nervous about that. Like if there's one spot that's worrying me a little is I did cap Bijan's captain exposure. It's a really tough matchup on the ground. It's a 75.5 yard rushing prop, which isn't bad, but also on a slate like today where his captain exposure is very high. I mean, you're talking nearly 30% here. Tyler Algier is worked in at the goal line a lot. He's worked in a lot in the red zone, and that's a little concerning to me. Do I think Bijan's the most talented player on the field today? Absolutely. I still have some at captain, but I didn't want to get 30%. If it bites me, it bites me. And that's the cool thing. Like, if some of you guys don't like Mike Evans today, for sure, right? Take a stand, play zero even if you think, that's the move. For me, I would say the Bijan spot, Greg, is one where I am underweight at captain only because I capped him a little bit. I didn't want to get 30%.
Yeah. So if you look at some of the other options here, there's only 3 players that are showing up prominently in the Sims here in the captain spot. It's Bijan Robinson, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Pitts. And by the way, if you guys didn't see it, I've got that YouTube video that I threw into chat there. That video is going to show you how to, it's a 3-minute video that Josh made. It'll show you both DraftKings and FanDuel how to upload lineups using CSVs. So that should be very helpful.
But anyway, the entry manager's new. The entry manager's only been around for like 6, 7, 8 months. So yeah.
Yeah. So this video is from pre-entry manager, and yeah, it's from a year ago. So like you said, relatively new. But captain spot, you've only got 3 players showing up prominently in the Sims. It's Bijan Robinson, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Pitts. And then overall, if you look at the projected ownership from the field, those 3 guys plus Bucky Irving pulling 12% ownership. If you go to anybody else in the multiplier spot, they're going to be contrarian. So that's one of the things that I think is pretty fun for us to figure out here, Lofty, is you mentioned that you don't want quite as much of Bijan as you were getting. And I think that's reasonable, but I think it's pretty fun to try to figure. There's so many good skill position players in this game. Is trying to figure out who we want to get to that's lower owned. And for me, I like Mike Evans at 2% ownership for some of the reasons I said before. I don't know what he's going to end up looking like today, but I think the ceiling remains unchanged. Just the odds of hitting the ceiling are lower.
Right. Does he still have 2 touchdown upside? Yeah. Does he have zero catch upside? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. The tough thing about Mike Evans is that he is expensive. So if you're playing Mike Evans today, you are going into it assuming that his role is pretty normal. I like Bucky at the captain spot too. And, I mentioned this to you last week on the Wednesday show, the single lineup sim show, that I didn't know if Tristan Wirfs was going to play because he was out with that oblique in practice. And he ended up not playing, and Bucky really didn't have a great game. But now you're talking about him healthy, all of these guys healthy. To me, there's definitely a point here where Bucky Irving, despite his inefficiency on the ground, could have one of those games. And against Atlanta as a 5.5-point favorite, if this game does play close to the spread, you could see Bucky Irving having a really nice game here. He's not really expensive either. You're looking at him, what is that, 15-3 at captain. All of that's honestly really solid. Now, the other thing to consider is the Kyle Pitts price point. He has scored once this season. Touchdowns are volatile. If Kyle Pitts had scored like 5 times this season, which you know as well as I do, the difference between like 1 and 5 touchdowns is kind of nothing in the sense of, just the overall volatility of that stat. Had he scored 5 touchdowns this year, you're looking at Kyle Pitts and going, hey, this guy's having a pretty nice season. But because he hasn't found the end zone often, really more than once, it's definitely one of those spots where you're paying single digits at the captain spot. Like, to me, that is wild. Or not single digits. Sorry, you're paying under 10.
I know you mean under 10K.
Yeah, you're paying under 10K at the captain spot for Kyle Pitts. It is kind of a spot that I understand why the Sims would want to get there. He has a 28% target share in the games he's played without Drake London and with Kirk Cousins this year. So those are pretty decent numbers.
Yeah. So the other thing to consider too, I know that for this particular game, it's unchanged, but when you consider what the quarterback play has been for the Falcons this year, Kyle Pitts has actually been one of the better tight ends in the entire NFL this season. And then his workload also, in the absence of Drake London, it's been super high. 10 targets last week, 8 targets the week before, 90 and 82 yards in those couple of games. Is he scoring touchdowns? No, but the Falcons themselves just don't score very many touchdowns, which kind of precludes him from scoring if the team is putting up, 9 points in an entire game or something like that. Or, what are some of the other recent games? They did put up 24 against the Jets. But in general, Kyle Pitts, he's outproducing what his salary is. He should be more expensive considering how well he's played in Drake London being out again.
Yeah, I think so too. I just reran. We got a projection and ownership update at 725 and 727. So I'm going in one more time here to see, because I'm going to try and boost Evans a little bit. What I like to do before I boost anybody, though, Greg, is I want to make sure that I'm not already getting more after the projection update, right? And I don't think we'll get a ton of Mike Evans with his projection. Like we talked about the props, 40-yard receiving prop, 3.5 receptions, plus 180 to score, which isn't all that bad. But at that price, if you want to get him, if you want to get more of him, you're definitely going to have to boost him a little bit more. Are there any players today that you are boosting more than you typically would have? Or any players that you're boosting more to simply get more of them into lineups?
For sure, Mike Evans for me. I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit here. But I mean, the Sims also like getting overweights the field to Evans as is. You see showing up in 6% of lineups in the captain spot and 25% in the flex. But I like him even more than that mark. I want to get more overweight to Mike Evans than that. So he's certainly going to be one for me. The kickers also, this is a game where, believe it or not, we don't get a ton of kicker exposure. Instead, we're getting to more defense exposure. But I like the kickers more than our data also. I like giving an ROI boost to say like Zane Gonzalez, who's showing up in 20% of lineups right now. I want to give an ROI boost to Chase McLaughlin. I'd say those guys most prominently.
All right. So I got it now. Captain exposure, where am I at? See, I'm still at like 3% Mike Evans. I'd like to bring that up a little bit, honestly. I don't want to be under the field at the very least. That I would like. Maybe I should just go to 0 at this point. But
Lucas, I got you, by the way. Lucas wants to make sure we answer super chat now. So yeah, Lucas is in his fantasy playoffs. He's got a PPR question. This is an easy one for me. Pitts likely or Theo Johnson? That's Pitts for me.
it is, and you know I love playing tight ends against the Cincinnati Bengals. Likely crushed them last time out. Should have scored. Last week, Knox and Kincaid had games, but it's still Pitts in this spot. You kind of have to. If you really wanted to get weird, but there's no reason you have to, Isaiah likely. Theo would be third, even though that Washington defense is just totally cooked, man. So, yeah. But, again, looking at all of that, I have a good amount of Bucky Irving. I want to keep that. Kyle Pitts, even at captain, I'm okay getting there. Because, you don't need an insane game from Kyle Pitts either. That's the other thing. If Kyle Pitts had, 18 tonight, it's very possible, or even 16, that he could be optimal at captain because he's 6,400 at the flex. He's 98 or 9,600 at the captain spot. That's cheap enough to where you don't need to have a 30-point game from him.
I mean, the other thing too is him in the flex at $6,400. It's the exact same thing you just said, but also with him in his flex here. 10, 11 fantasy points at $6,400. That's pretty live to being in a winning lineup at that price point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there aren't many things that stand out. We had a question earlier about Jalen McMillan. I could see Evans being more involved than McMillan because McMillan hurt his neck, in the preseason. And still hasn't played, and that's already a guy that was a third option in the passing game. He has a 1.5 receptions prop. Last I looked, McMillan, I think, is harder to get to. I'd probably rather go to a Drummond over McMillan.
See, is he showing up in? We've got Dylan Drummond in 11% of lineups right now. McMillan in 10%. The one thing McMillan has going for him, at least, is that he is really low owned, 3% ownership. To me, though, he's so far down in the pecking order for the Buccaneers now, where at best, he's the fourth wideout now, at best. And he honestly might not even be the fourth guy.
Right. By the way, within the Sims now, you can go into players. This is so nice. The ROI boost and the player caps are on the same page now. So you can just go in, and if you wanted to boost a player, cap a player, all within the same thing, you can do that. And say you wanted to cap Bijan at 15% at captain, you can go ahead and do that too, right there in the exact same spot. So to me, that's a massive, massive upgrade that we have. It's going to make my life a whole lot easier. I can tell you that much. I literally just did it right now.
What did you cap Bijan at?
A captain, 15.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious if we cap him here at 15.
I just did it right now.
Yeah, that's what I did. I just adjusted him. I just wanted to see what that does to everybody else. So Baker shows up more, Pitts a little bit more. Yeah, it's not like one guy who got a big boost. It's just marginally more for everybody else by lowering him.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy what I'm doing at all. It's just, it's a spot that I'm going to take. I don't blame anyone for wanting to jam Bijan at captain. I really don't. But I do think Bijan is actually a more volatile player than we talk about sometimes, right? As good as he is, he's still kind of volatile, right? If you go in and look at some of these games that he's had, he can absolutely break a slate. There's no doubt about that. Bijan can break a slate with 2 plays. But there's also plenty of games 6.8, 10.8, 14.7, even the 17.6. That's 5 of his last 7 games, 10, 14, 10, 17, and 6 over his last 7 games. He has 2 33s, 33.3s. But in those other games, Bijan is not a guy you'd want to captain. So it's just a bit of a stand I'm taking there. If you go the opposite direction and just jam him at captain and hope he has one of those massive games get that too. But yeah, it's just that's the position I'm taking right now because I do think this is a pretty tough matchup.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. And also, we have seen Bijan have bad games as a pop. Remember the slate, was it against the Dolphins where Drake London was first kind of ruled out
He had 10
unexpectedly?
fantasy points and he had a bad fumble.
And he was 65. If I remember correctly, he was like 60% owned or something in the Millie Maker.
Yeah, because I tweeted, DraftKings sent me a tweet a couple days later. They go, Bijan was your highest owned player, drafted 203 lineups. Who are you going to draft this week? And it's like, man, fuck you. Yeah, that was not. I know a lot of you guys got that notification. I actually went and turned off DraftKings notifications after that. I said I can't do it anymore. But yeah, I remember that game real well. I had a ton of him. I loved, and I didn't care that he was chalk. I loved that spot for Bijan. Remember, that was when the Dolphins were like at the bottom of the barrel, just as low as they could possibly go. We're thinking, Mike McDaniel's not going to last another day. And then they come and they blow then they come and beat the hell out of the Bills too. But that's the thing about the Falcons, right? I know you could say it was Michael Penix and not Kirk Cousins, but the Falcons beat the Bills and the Bills were coming off of a bye. Like, that shouldn't happen, but the Falcons are the Falcons. That's the type of strange team that they are. So, yeah, man.
How funny would it be if the Dolphins win out and make the playoffs?
Well, now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure they have a really easy schedule.
They
never mind. That's totally incorrect. I was thinking of the Patriots.
Yeah, it's not impossible because their upcoming games, it's at Pittsburgh, but then it's home Cincinnati, home Tampa Bay, which they'll be favored, I think, in both of those games. Well, actually, maybe not the Tampa Bay one now that Tampa Bay is getting healthier.
I don't think so.
But yeah, then their final game of the year is at New England. Although that game, I know you didn't mean it this way when you first said it. The Week 18 game at New England actually might end up kind of being sneaky easy because that could be a game where New England ends up resting everybody.
Yeah. If New England wins on Sunday against the Bills and then gets one more win, it's pretty much a wrap, I think. So, yeah.
And if you're the Patriots, you have the chance to get the Dolphins in the playoffs, maybe instead of the Bills or something like that. Yeah, you're resting all your guys.
Damn right. What are you doing with Ibuka Ibuka today?
I've not really been much of an Ibuka guy for the entire season. It's hard for me to now back him when he is priced at $9,200. Mike Evans is back. Chris Godwin's starting to get healthy as well. Matters less, but at least McMillan's in the picture now. It's just another guy. The numbers on Ibuka are horrific for efficiency as of late. Like, he got games, it's like he's getting targeted. This is a little bit of an exaggeration, but like you look at his stat sheet after the game, it's like, hey, 14 targets, 20 receiving yards. They throw to him a ton, and it is leading to absolutely nothing in terms of production lately. Here, all right, I've got the actual numbers pulled up. 9 targets, 15 receiving yards against the Saints last week. The game before against the Cardinals, like, these are some easy matchups. Against the Cardinals, 8 targets, 42 yards. Against the Rams, that's a harder matchup. Still 8 targets, 32 yards. Against the Bills, 9 targets, 40 yards. He had the one good game against the Patriots of all games where he's matched up against Gonzalez and then puts up 115 yards and a touch and at chalk. I was very tilted by that one. The game before that, again, another game against the Saints, 9 targets for 35 yards. 2 games against the Saints this year, Lofty, he has 18 targets for 50 yards.
Yeah.
Like, I think you just get to a point now Baker actually has other guys to throw to. I think the natural conclusion is going to be, hey, I'm probably going to not throw to Ibuka as much because it's not going well when I'm throwing the ball to him a shit ton.
18 targets for 50 yards is nuts. Yeah, he has like a 41% catch rate over the last 6 or 7 weeks or something. It's not good at all. So, yeah, here we are. But you could also make the argument that having Mike Evans back out there actually helps Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah. I mean, that was something that
you talked about that a lot.
We've talked about as him being the number one hurt his efficiency. But I mean, I've gotten to the point here where I just think he started the season out so hot when he was just out of sight, out of mind in teams' game plans that once they became generally more aware of him, it just killed a lot of his production. don't get me wrong. I don't think he's bad or anything like that. I just don't think he's as good as he appeared to be the first handful of weeks of the season.
Yeah, he's still a rookie. Not all rookies just burst onto the scene like a Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, who has taken a clear step back as well. A couple of other guys to talk about. And if you guys have any questions in chat, feel free to let us know. Let's see here. If we have any Chris Blair ownership. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look.
Let's see. Is he showing up in lineups? He is not. Not getting him into lineups. I want to see if we sort by salary, which cheap guys are showing up most prominently.
How much Payne Durham are we? Yeah, how much Payne Durham are we getting to? Because Kate Otten's out of this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Durham is
on the IR.
Yeah, so we got Payne Durham in 10% of lineups at $600. If I have to go all the way down, he's pretty clearly the guy for me. It's just you don't really have to go all that cheap in most lineups. But let's say you're trying to play Bijan at captain. You're trying to remember, I did cap Bijan just a second ago, and Loughran and I were playing around with that. So Payne Durham would be in more lineups if we didn't cap Bijan. That's just kind of something that comes along with it. But if you were to play like, I want Bijan in the captain, and then I want to get to, Kirk Cousins in the lineup, and I want to have, let's see, Bucky Irving, Baker Mayfield. Like, yeah, if you absolutely need a punt, Payne Durham's the guy. But in general, you don't really have to go all that cheap. But just considering Cade Otton is out, he is the guy to go to if you're trying to punt with one of these, sub $1,000 priced guys. For sure.
And I'm okay with that, actually, because you do see them target the tight ends in the end zone at times. I'm all right with it. All right, so final exposures I've got here. Baker's my highest owned captain right now, but also that has something to do with the fact that, Bijan I capped. I ended up getting 16% Bijan right now because I made a couple of tweaks. Bucky, Kyle Pitts, those are my top 4 exposed captains. Mayfield, Bijan, Irving, and Pitts. And then I don't know about you. I'm very spread out at captain after that. I have some Mooney, which I actually don't hate. Mike Evans, Godwin, Ibuka, and those guys mixed in along the way. At flex, I have a lot of these guys in the 20% range, right? Everyone you could imagine. But I also have a lot of Mayfield, Robinson, Pitts, and Bucky at the flex as well, alongside Kirk Cousins at 28%. So I'm actually under the field on Kirk Cousins today, despite thinking that I would be over the field on him earlier.
Yeah, so obviously he's a quarterback in a showdown slate. If you play him, it's not the end of the world, but I do prefer getting to a lot of other guys in this price range. I would rather play Chris Godwin. I'd rather play Mike Evans. Kyle Pitts is quite a bit cheaper, but if I'm just kind of comparing if I'm just comparing Kirk Cousins to all the other guys in this price range, the only guy I prefer him to is Ibuka.
Yeah. Probably. Where was that question? I thought that was a good one. Where is it? Was it from Jim? Can you play Bucks defense at captain? I think I actually have some, as a matter of fact. Because the answer to me is yes, you can. I have 3.5% Bucks defense at captain, which is it's basically 2x the field. Now that's not saying much because the field's at like 1.5% or something like that. But I have 25% Bucks in the flex, 20% Falcons, 24% McLaughlin, and where's my other kicker? And 19% Zane Gonzalez. So yeah, I'm really spread out with a lot of these guys today, which I'm okay with because I don't have any crazy firm stance on a lot of these players today. That's just the honest to God truth. And Showdown, sometimes I don't take any crazy stands. The one stand, they'll just be getting a little overweight on Mike Evans.
Yeah, so I do think the Buccaneers defense is playable in the captain spot. It's mostly because of ownership, though. They're 1% owned. If people are actually rostering them, then no, wouldn't really want to play them. But Cousins has had some dog shit games this year. He's had some really, really bad games. He's looked okay at he's never looked great this year, but there's times he looked okay, and there's some games where he's looked like JJ McCarthy. So I'm fine with getting some exposure to the Buccaneers defense at captain when they're 1% owned.
All right, my lineups are in. I got This is going to be fun, man. This is going to be a little scary too. Any other questions before we go? And like I said, a lot of bets posted over there to Tails. If you haven't done so yet, download that app. Leave us a rating and a review too. I know there's some of you guys are going to be watching football tonight, right? Kids are going to be asleep. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to kiss my kids on the head, tell them good night, and I'm going to come down and watch some football. All right. And you sit there and you do some stuff. When you pull that phone out, can you hop into the app store, maybe give us a rating and a review? It's the season of giving, my friends, and we ask for nothing. No money to hop on Tails some sharp guys. Just a little 5-star rating for Christmas time. Do it while you're sitting on the couch. You can even tweet me and say, Lafayette, I got you. And maybe a review too, a nice little review. James Popplewell, you know what? Sure. Thank you, Roderick. Appreciate you, man. Thanks to all of you guys for hanging out with us every single day. It means a lot. We can't do this shit without you. Greg, go ahead. James Popplewell, just in the nick of times for old James P. James P. Well coming in asking for the Duke lineups once again. Guys, by the way, I saw the question asking for it at the beginning of the show. We can't just jump right into that. We got to set the table a little bit here, you know? You can't have dessert before your appetizers. But here you go for James Popplewell.
We've got some lineups for James here that are pretty heavily duped, which that'll happen when you have popular cheap players and then also popular captains. That's when we start to see lineups that are duped 200 plus times across the 50,000 lineup sim. But yeah, 297 dupes for Bijan Robinson in the captain spot, Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Dylan Drummond, Kyle Pitts, Zane Gonzalez. That uses all the salary. That's a couple of things. That is the chalkiest lineup in large field GPPs. That's the lineup where if that wins, nobody wins. But it's also, that's your cash game lineup today. If you guys are playing cash games, that's the lineup that you want to be playing today. And then a couple of other lineups that are really heavily duped as well. This is a Bucky Irving lineup. Baker Mayfield, Bijan Robinson, Chase McLaughlin, Dylan Drummond, Kyle Pitts. So very similar to the top lineup. And then another one that's really similar to the other lineups as well, Baker Mayfield in the multiplier spot with Bijan Robinson, Bucky Irving, Chase McLaughlin, Dylan Drummond, Kyle Pitts. So those three lineups, which using almost all of the same players, just kind of swapping around which guys are in which spots. Those are your three most duped lineups.
All right. Now let's just hope that it's not Tucker, White, or Algier. I mean, I have some of those guys. I do. But, not as much as you need when they go nuclear, and that stuff always sucks. Roderick, I have a good feeling about tonight. Hell yeah, let's do it. Let's have ourselves an evening. And remember, Greg and I will be back here tomorrow morning. Question real quick too: White or McMillan? I'd go White. Yeah, I'd go White. I think White has a higher ceiling in a game like this, and the touches are still somewhat ambiguous in that backfield. But yeah, we'll be back Friday for the Sunday slate, big 13 game slate, a very weird main slate, no doubt about it. So you're gonna want to hang out for that one, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for tonight as well, man. This could be a fun game, or it could be shit. Who knows? There's only one way to find out, Greg, and that's for us to sit back and watch some football. What else would we be doing anyway?
Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Well, if you already said it, but download the Tails app, leave us a nice review. And we posted a ton of content out there today. Lots of bets, so go check that out too. Stephen Jones in chat wants to know, how do you leave a review on Tails? So you could do it through the App Store. You could either write a full review, or if you just only want to take like if you want to take 2 minutes, you could write a couple of sentences. If you only want to take 5 seconds, then you just tap the 5 stars. You could do it through the App Store.
Yeah, click on the app, the Tails app, and then you'll see where it says rating, like rating, and then click that, and then you'll see where you can write a review. Super easy. But anyway, hey, you guys are the best. Have a great rest of the night. We'll see you back here tomorrow and take you into the weekend with some Stokastic Sim strategy show right here on the YouTube channel. Bye-bye.